Hello, everybody. I am actually going to go live and answer some questions that I see on the page because it's just easier. Um, I'm Brandy. I'm one of the admins with Myra and Robin. So we're really fortunate to have so many people on this page. It's actually quite the adventure and very exciting and fun. Also a little overwhelming sometimes, so please bear with us as we're trying to get people on and answer questions as we go along. So let's start at the very beginning. I actually saw today someone was talking about how they had no idea that the houses on Oahu were much smaller, or any island for that fact. And so I wanted to kind of broach that instantly because it's actually one of the biggest things that people find like shocking is that you have, going from a 2,000 to 3,000 square foot house and having to be in a tiny 12 to 1,500 square foot house. Kind of throws people and they bring too much stuff and then there's nowhere to put it and it's a whole big thing. So number one is be prepared to downsize. Even on post housing is not as big as mainland housing just because of the no land. There's only so much land and so many people that can, so many houses that they can build. So keep that in mind. Housing is always the number one thing people are worried about, and I understand. I get it. You think you're going to be homeless. You won't be. At some point, something will fall into place, but I'm trying to find questions to answer specifically. The biggest one was that, like, hey, these houses are really small, which makes people really stressed out about it. Then the wait lists. So right now, the wait lists for housing are pretty high because it is PCS season. So if anyone has ever moved on and off of a base during PCS season, which is right now, midsummer, you know that these are trying times for everybody. Housing is trying to flip properties and they're trying to get places up to snuff to rent back out. So they might be having to do construction or do cleanup crew work and stuff like that. So just bear with them. They're doing the best they can. I know I've said it 100 times, but 100,000 people, military, not just the military member, not the family, move on and off the island every year. And because of the stop walk with the PCS last year, there's 140,000 people moving off and on the island this year because of orders being up and contracts being not extended and such. So just have some patience, guys. I know it's really frustrating. I've done it before. I was in a hotel with dogs and cats and a bunch of kids, and it's overwhelming, but just try to be gracious as best as you can and know that you're getting compensated for it. That's what the TLA is for. Like, you get your BH while you're there. Some people it's not worth it, but some people it is. If you guys need a packet, it's in the discussion thing. It's PCS'ing for a binder. So calling most of the housing is going to be a no-go. They'd say they'll put you on a list, but really, and they'll call you back or whatever. That doesn't always work that way because they're so overwhelmed. Until your boots on ground, because orders change, different things happen, they're not going to put you on a housing list. They might say they're going to put you on a housing list, but it's not like an accurate one. So just be prepared for that as well. Sorry, there's like a weird choose my live mode. Oh, all right. Sorry, I'm like not electronically savvy. That's why the military gives you 60 days of TLA, because it gives you 60 days to find a property. And then if you get a lease agreement with them, and let's say you're at like 68 days or whatever, usually they'll extend your TLA to move in on that day. If you're going into the privatized housing that the military is part of, if you're trying to find your own property to rent or to buy, then they won't necessarily extend you. You'd have to have extenuating circumstances. So you can fill out like applications for things, but it does not mean that you're on the list. I know it's really frustrating and it's like clear as mud, but that's just how it is, unfortunately. The other question I get a lot is pets. Like, people are like freaking out about their pets. So there's the quick and dirty, like 5-day quarantine removal, and then the other one, the longer 120. So as long as you keep in your mind that you need to keep the rabies shot, like, certificate, health certificate, and everything, and then make sure it's wet signed. Stamps don't cut it. They don't care if it's notarized. They literally are just not okay with it, anything but a wet signature. I actually think it's ridiculous too. I think it's like blue ink it has to be or something. The other question we get a lot is cars. People trying to pick their cars up from the port. So there was a stop block for a little bit and some issues with the port authorities. So there may be a delay. If your car is here, you can try to do walk-in instead of appointment if they're not answering the phone, which I think a lot of them are overwhelmed and they're not answering the phone because you'll just show up at some point. Having an appointment is better because then you're guaranteed a time slot. Sometimes you can show up and they say, yeah, too bad you can't come in here today. We don't have any open available like appointments. So if you're taking a cab to get your car, like make sure you have an appointment because otherwise you could end up sitting there for a long time, or they could get to the end of the day and not be able to help you, like actually move forward. I'm trying to look at what other questions we have. Sorry, I'm really special with the Facebook Lives. I think the biggest thing was the per diem, the TLA stuff, people asking questions about stuff. And as far as us trying to get videos and stuff for properties for people, as far as like on post housing, the best thing to do is like go on YouTube and put on military housing and people will do their walkthroughs or whatever. But because there's like a bunch of different floor plans and every branch of the military is represented on Oahu, we can't give you every floor plan. We've tried, but the housing isn't really cooperative. They don't want to allow us into the houses if they're vacant, which would be super ideal. If like they would just do it, it would be great so that you could have an idea of what kind of the property is. But I'm a visual learner, so like I actually have to see the outline. Like I can look at a draft of something and still not understand the size and stuff. So it's good that people are asking for those. At someday we will have one that tells you, and then they'll probably change the properties around. It'll be great. Your HHG. So again, they're trying to move people off for your housing stuff and get people packed up to leave so they can have more houses available. But that also means that those people that are unpacking other people or packing other people might not be as available. So your household goods, you might get a house and then have to book out 4 to 6 weeks to get your stuff delivered. So be prepared for that as well. Hopefully it's within 10 days. They try to do it pretty good, but it's unfortunate that there's just not enough people to help out with stuff. Like moving is a big deal. And then moving 140,000 families is an even bigger deal. And there's only so many, people to do those jobs. So again, I beg you to have patience. These poor people are trying to do the best they can. Let's see. Someone was asking. Let's see. So as far as claims for your VPC, your vehicles, if something happens and they get damaged, and so you have to file a claim pretty quick. You don't have like weeks and weeks. Make sure that you got pictures of it before and after. So what we like to do is we would take a video of our car from the external and the internal before we dropped it off. I recommend this for your housing as well. So any of your furniture and stuff, take pictures of everything. Things that function, show them turning on and everything, because a video documentation is better proof than just like a verbal or a photograph, because a photograph could be doctored. So that's a recommendation I have for you guys. Make sure that you're, protecting yourself. These are human beings we're working with, so it's better than anything else. Let me see. So there were some of those asking about going over TLA 60-day limit. Like I said, unless there's extenuating circumstances, they usually won't pay for out of pocket. You get BAH though from the time that you sign in and start moving forward, which brings me to another thing. there's a lot of people that are trying to figure out how to like buck the system, so to speak, and like fly in and like have a vacation and have it covered by TLA. That's not going to happen. You have to sign into your command or your unit or your, I'm trying to think what all the branches of service call it, your platoon, whatever. You have to sign in to get TLA. And so you have to actively be house hunting after that every 10 days for 10 properties. Now, if you're trying to do a rental or a purchase, an acceptable reason not to get the property is that someone else got it. Like literally, that's how the market is here, like multiple offers on things. So you could put that in. The military is not going to finance your vacation. And I know that people are having a hard time wrapping their head around this because they're forcing you to move there, but it's on their terms, right? So just keep that in the back of your head that they're not there to finance. They're not trying to help you. They're trying to get a soldier or an airman or a seaman or a Marine to where they need to be. And you just are collateral damage as a dependent. That's how I always had to look at it when I was doing it, because you're just part of the process. They're really interested in the service member and making sure that they're there to work. It has improved. I know that they're working on getting more sponsors and stuff, but I just don't see a lot of follow through. So if you have an epic sponsor, please give them a kudos and be like, thank you for helping, because I get more people sending me messages because they're just not getting the help they need. So if I can help you, you're welcome to private message me, but you just have to let me know that you're messaging me, because it goes into this other mystery thing if we're not friends. So I'm happy to answer any questions I can, put you in touch with people that I know. We're very fortunate. I have been here a long time. I know a lot of people. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to scroll through because there's so many questions. Enrolling your children in school with being in a hotel. So this is another thing that people are worried about. So if you have a lease agreement or a purchase contract for a property, you can use that to register your kids in the school they're going to go to eventually. If you have no idea, then they have to go to the district the school is, and you'll have to move schools for them essentially when you find your new property, or we'll have to keep driving them to wherever they need to be. I know it's not ideal. It's just unfortunately how it works. So once the other thing you need for children when you're getting them ready for school is they need to have a physical and a TB test. TB test is like they do an injection under their skin, and then within 72 hours it has to be read again. So you have to make 2 appointments, that initial one to get it done and then another one to get it read. It has to be a formal document. It can't just be like, well, it was fine. They don't take that. You have to have it because tuberculosis is kind of a big deal on Oahu, being that we don't have a lot of ICU beds. So that was the TLA question. Let's see. Trying to think of the pet thing is always a big thing. I'm actually going to be working on some stuff to add into here. I got to do my weekly, like, hey, what's up, everybody? Transportation. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, those are the biggest hot and dirty things that people are always like concerned with, and I'm always trying to like answer them so that you guys get a little bit of like more. I promise you can do it. I've done it like 3 times with multiple children, multiple pets, on and off the island. It's not as horrible as it seems at the moment. When you're done, you're like, oh, okay, it's fine. The biggest problem you guys are going to have is literally getting housing to pick up a phone call or put you on a wait list. But then once that happens, the time starts ticking. Fun fact, if you fly in on a Monday, you don't have to in-process Army, talking about Army, until the following Monday, because they do it every week. On Mondays is when they start their in-processing. I know that now they have the brief online, so I'm not sure if they're trying to rotate out of that now, so people go up to Schofield. If you can ship your vehicle 30 days prior to arriving, I highly recommend it. It's way better to rent a car or be inconvenienced on that side than it is on this side. So that's my like 2 cents on that one. And I will try to do these every week to kind of go through and scroll through and see what the biggest. It's probably going to be a repeat over and over again, but at least it'll be fresh. And if anyone has any questions, like I said, feel free to message me. I have no problem answering questions. Hope you guys are having a great day. Aloha.